A segue to presidential politics. What was your thought about Tim Pawlenty endorsing Mitt Romney? Surprising or not really?
In a way, not really. I think that what Tim is looking at is the fact that Mitt may be the most electable Republican. I have not come to a conclusion of endorsing anyone. I want us to win. And, of course, I'd love to win with someone who thinks like I think, believes like I believe, 100%. That's not going to happen. So I've got to figure out, where our best shot is, and I'll let this thing play out. I mean, there's some great people out there. I think Rick Santorum is a terrific candidate, believes all the right things. He's not getting any attention from the press. Newt Gingrich had some powerful answers the other night. We've got good candidates that aren't getting enough airtime. I was keeping count. Rick Perry got 15 questions posed. Rick Santorum and Herman Cain got 5. I've been in that situation where you're stuck out on the edge of the platform and you're given token opportunities to respond. And it's very difficult to break out when the press decides who's going to be in the game and who isn't.
Yeah, well, I think I hear you, and I think it can get frustrating, but it's also unlikely, right, that Rick Santorum, who's a dear friend of mine, and I adore Rick, but Rick Santorum is going to be president of the United States. I mean, it's hard to run from being defeated as a senator from Pennsylvania. I mean, if he had gone on to be governor of Pennsylvania, I think that would have been he would have had a totally different platform. But it's pretty hard to run from that. I think it's difficult.
It is difficult, but, it worked for Abraham Lincoln, so I'm not...
Oh, we're going back to Lincoln now. Okay, yeah, we're going back. We're going back there. Come on. Hey, and now you spend a lot of time in Florida, Governor. What's Florida looking like for you? I mean, for all of these candidates, this is a must-win state for all these candidates, and someone like a Perry versus a Bachmann there. I know you know Michelle well, or Romney. Is he really going to play there?
I think it's going to be a three-way race between Bachmann, Romney, and Perry. Perry hurt himself a lot with his Social Security talk. And what he said may be technically true, but you go to South Florida, or even any part of Florida, even the part where I live in the Panhandle, where you have a lot of retired people, and essentially say that Social Security is a criminal enterprise. That's problematic, and it did not help him with the Florida vote. Michelle Bachmann has the conservative chops and has been consistent, but has not made statements like that. So that may give her the ability to be the chief competitor with Romney for the Florida vote.
Do you think that Perry's temperament is just too kind of shoot from the hip? I mean, how would you characterize his temperament that maybe led him to say that?
Well, Rick likes to, sort of come across as the straight-shootin', blunt-talking guy, and that works very well in Texas, and it'll work very well in what I call the hardcore center of the Republican primary. But when you have to branch out and get to those younger voters and general election voters, I'm not sure how it's going to play out, and that's going to be the challenge that he'll have to face. When he throws red meat out of the Lincoln Day dinner filled with hardcore movement conservatives, sure, they're going to eat it up. But the question is, how does it play, not on Fox News, but on all those other networks that comprise so much of the viewing audience that are going to be constantly subjected to an interpretation of what he's saying that is not necessarily favorable.
Do you think the fact that he sounds so much like President Bush and sort of people still, I think, suffering to some extent from Bush fatigue, although I love the way the president sounded yesterday, but do you think that that's also part of the albatross around his neck?
It could be. I still appreciate President Bush and think that history will be much better to him than all of the contemporaries will. But, it still is lingering out there, and I think it's not so much that it's the reality, it's the fact that it gives the Democrats an opportunity to say, if you like George W. Bush, you're going to love Rick Perry. Now, true or not, if I were a Democrat strategist, that's what I'd be saying every doggone day I was out there. Again, it doesn't matter whether that's true. Truth is not necessarily the moving force in a political campaign, but that's the kind of rhetoric that is going to be front and center of a Democratic strategy.
Huck gives bumper sticker slogan, Winning bumper sticker slogan to the Democrats. If you love GWB, you'll love Rick Perry. Oh, my gosh. Hey, Governor, it's always great to talk to you. Thanks so much for being with us.
Always a pleasure, Laura. Thanks.